Stuart, I'll ask you something that has come up for me lately, which is around blocks to spiritual growth, like the limitation, like not being able to like move beyond a certain same spot. Can you talk about blocks to spiritual growth?
I spent almost an hour talking about that yesterday. I mean, yeah, I can talk about it. Look, whether it's, look, it's like writer's block, you know? I mean, you sit down and you write a book and then suddenly you can't get 1 ounce of inspiration, you know? And it's a matter of time. It's a matter of having patience. And in our work, it's a matter of, instead of using, some kind of huge piece of equipment to drill a tunnel, sometimes you got to use a cold chisel just to make some, movement forward. And it's always like that. I cannot remember a time in my life where I haven't had blocks when I make major steps in my life, where things don't come along to test them, and when I was younger, I used to get really upset. Now I don't get upset. Say, okay, this is another way for me to build really deep inner strength. Can I get through this? Can I get through this without being upset, without being angry? I mean, look, I've written a lot of books. I mean, I don't know, a dozen books or so. And I think in every book, excuse me, in some of the books, I mean, it took 20 years to write them. One book, I told you, the mystical ferry boat that I wrote, I started writing that in 1967, finished it in 2013. Along the way, there were many, many, many things that interfered with the finishing of it. I had to have patience. I mean, I didn't want the book to be a paint by numbers book. So I had to have patience and I had to continue to build my inner life. So I had the strength to be able to once again draw on that creative energy that made the book possible. This is an essential ingredient in not only a spiritual life, but whatever we do in life. There's always going to be something that comes along that tries to block it. There are always tests. The great thing about this meditation is that the tests are just, they represent just an opportunity to get stronger in this. Can you do this? Can you continue to build an inner life that is strong enough to dissolve that particular mountain that you're standing in front of that won't let you climb? And if you develop an inner life that is strong enough to do it, it crumbles. It crumbles in front of you. And then suddenly there's just oceans and waterfalls of inspiration that flow through, not only for a book or this, but for your life. You understand? It's not only, to create some work of art, but it's the greatest work of art of all is living. Life is the greatest work of art. And if we allow this higher force to create it for us, because we have built a system inside that is strong enough, to overcome all the tests and difficulties and problems, it's amazing the amount of inspirational energy that flows through a person. I get back to a simple thing. We can't sit around thinking that the world is going to do this for us. We have to build that kind of system inside. We have to master the craft of inner work. That's what makes it possible for this inspiration to guide one's life. So all of those blocks are telling you, look, you got to get stronger. You have to do it. That's your service to God, higher energy, whatever you want to call it. That's just, you will build a system that will undam the works, that will allow that inspiration to flow. And that inspiration, you know, it manifests in so many things. And, you know, being able to taste our food in a different way, you know, being able to appreciate a shower we take, being able to appreciate getting up in the morning after a night's sleep, being able to appreciate we're alive and that living in itself is a miracle. Everything that manifests in our life, you know, is sacred. It's a manifestation of God, of spirit, of inspiration, of higher energy. So, you know, the best thing I found when I was writing a book, when this one didn't work, I worked on another one, or I did something else. I mean, you know, I used to have business. I had so many things going on. So if it didn't work over here, it would work over there. You understand? It was time to sell more art and to buy more art, you know, because the writing wasn't working the way it should, you know. So you have other things that you invest your energy in. And these other things then inspire you to come back to deal with the stuff that's blocked. I can only talk from my own life. And I promise you, I've been up against more mountains that had to crumble than anyone that I can even believe. And the only way I was capable of doing it was building a system inside that was strong enough to be able to overcome the blocks, to transform the blocks into something that, you know, worked for me instead of something that was keeping me from living my life. And we all can do this. We all have chakras. We all have mind. We all have breath. We all have to apply these things. Because in the development of that kind of inner life, one builds inside themselves a connection with energy that is infinite in the universe. And that energy will guide a human being's life. And enable us to do amazing things in life. Amazing things people can do. Most people live on 5% of their creativity. And they think that's something extraordinary. It's not. 95% is untouched. How do you touch it? You got to have a system inside that can tap that energy. And then it's unbelievable, the vastness of a human being, what they can do in this world. It really is, you know? So blocks are not reasons to stop living, they're reasons to grow. They're reasons to expand your creativity. They're reasons to find other areas of work that inspire you, you know, so that you can come back to whatever it is and have the inspiration to do that as well. And look, the greatest block of all is just simply being a happy person. You know, I mean, really, I mean, we do so much to defeat that with all our anxiety and guilt and neurosis and this and that. I mean, it's just a way of defeating ourselves. When the ultimate goal is what? You know, to be a happy person. That really is the highest level a human being can attain, just to be happy. Everything we do is supposed to make us happy. We get married, we buy a house, we have this, we have a car, we have a job. It's also, you know, provides money. It's all supposed to make us happy. And we set up the blocks in ourselves that keep us from really being happy. And what is the block? It's just a lack of gratitude. That's the block. You have the gratitude and the joy comes and it pours into everything else you do in your life. I mean, the answers to all these conundrums are so simple, and yet people complicate them because they complicate their inner lives. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you, Stuart. That was so beautiful.
You're welcome, dear. Thank you for the question. You inspire me, Wendy. You always have questions.
You inspire me because you always have answers that just hit the mark. Just completed my third book, already starting the next one. I'll send you a copy. Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes, please.
Well, I was told that this work could be tiring to do, that I was told that it can be tiring and that you need more rest. I don't understand that because it seems like when you work with infinite energy, you should receive it and have more energy.
Well, look, you'll have more energy, but the body gets tired, and you got to sleep. You get tired, I mean, look, this is not easy work, this work. And it tires out the body. Somebody told me that he's been here for about a week. He just left today. He said, there's so much energy in these in-person classes that I've been giving here. He said he hasn't slept at night. He doesn't feel 1 ounce of loss of energy during the day. And I have been through that myself many, many times, where I haven't been able to have, decent nights. And there's never a shortage of energy. So it works in 2 ways, Also, it tires you out because it's hard work. We don't complain when we're do physical work and get tired. We go to sleep, we rest. So this requires both. You understand? There are times when you will have so much energy for this meditation that you won't sleep at night, or you'll sleep 2 hours, 3 hours at night. You get up the next day and you feel like, you're running on full, There's no limit to the amount of things you can do. There are other times you get very tired, so you go to sleep and you get a good night's sleep. It shouldn't be this or that. It's both. It's really both.
Thank you for explaining that.
Because, this is not either or. It's this and that and that. It's really all encompassing, this meditation that we practice. So it's not, well, it's one thing or the other, How do I make both of them work? I didn't get a good night's sleep because of all that energy. And yet, look at me going today. I feel terrific, Okay. I had to sleep a lot last night. Okay, you were tired, you slept. And one is not any better than the other. They just all work together. I mean, I used to have that, when I was writing books, sometimes I would spend 12, 15 hours a day writing. Other times I couldn't, I wrote one line and I would work on it for 4 hours, One was not better than the other. I was just reading a book by Gustave Flaubert, very famous, Madame Bovary. And he used to work for days on one line. For days he would work on getting one line perfect. Neither one is better than the other. It's just, it's just different ways we have to approach life.
Yeah. Seems you're saying no attachments. Just, it's not, I woke up, had a terrible night's sleep, and then I had a good night's sleep. Just let go.
Let go, and then, you know, not thinking that this is better than that, you know?
Yeah.
How can I make both of them work for me? That's a good way to approach your life, because then you stop a lot of the conflict and all that mental, if you pardon my masturbation, that goes on, where you exhaust so much of your energy thinking about which is right, which is wrong. You waste so much time trying to decide the right and the wrong. And eventually what happens is you just exhaust yourself. You delete all your energy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay. So we'll have a class on Wednesday. And again, in all humility, God bless you all for being here. This Zoom thing, and trust me, this is not easy to work with 30, 35 people in one of these meditations, looking into a computer. But it has done more for my growth in the last year than I could have ever imagined. I'm just very grateful to all of you for being part of this and for, you know, finding time and commitment to spend time doing this and working on yourselves. It's been a little bit of a miracle in this age of COVID-19, you know, to have this way of communicating with people all over the world. I always said it, you know, I used to travel all over the place doing meditation. 2019, I traveled almost 100,000 miles simply to do meditation. And I said, there has to be an answer. And I think God heard me and sent COVID here. You know, I mean, I don't want to hold you responsible for this epidemic, but it's certainly, how can I make this work? How can I make this work? And the universe provided a way to make this work. And I'm very grateful to the universe. I'm grateful to all of you for being part of it. And to me, it's a great miracle. And bless you all. Thank you. There'll be a class on Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you. Bless you.
God bless you. Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you,
Have a
sir.
good evening.
Bonsoir.
Good night.